right, so let's talk about how to stop worrying about money in retirement. Now that's a tough one. That's something that you might always have a little bit of worry in the back of the mind, but it's our job here at Centennial Wealth to help reduce that worry, to minimize it as much as possible. I stumbled upon a recent survey from Allianz where it stated that 61% of retirees are more afraid of running out of money than they are of dying. So that just goes to show you how important it is to make sure that you have a plan in place where you can lean on that and hopefully reduce that worry. But what it really boils down to, and I think that a lot of that worry stems from just not having that plan in place, not just the fear of the unknown, right? Will this pot of money that I've been working my entire life, will it last me for the rest of my life? I mean, it could be 20, 30, 40 years in retirement. Do you have enough money to last you? And that's the real big question. I got my daughter's birthday's coming up here next month, and it's my job typically to cut the birthday cake. Okay, and so when I think of this, I got to figure out a way where I make sure that every little kid that's been invited and comes to the birthday gets that slice of cake. Okay, when I think about this, it's like, oh, well, if I cut the cake too thick, right? Maybe the first 10, 15 kids that come by, they get a nice big slice of cake. But then maybe the next 10, 15 kids, that cake slice starts to get thinner and thinner and thinner. And if I run out of cake, well then little Timmy, he's going to be very upset, right? He wants his cake. And then the opposite is true too. I mean, if I'm cutting the cake slices too thin for the first kids that come along, they're not getting their fill of cake, but then I could be stuck with a whole bunch of cake left over, and then, typically my wife is going to make me eat all that. But, when you think about that, it's kind of like your retirement portfolio, right? You got to make sure that, the pot of money, the cake that you got saved for retirement is going to last you all those years. So how do you go about figuring out how to cut that cake? How to take income from that portfolio to make sure that it lasts you, right? And what it boils down to, a way to start, is to figure out what you actually need from that portfolio. And to do that, you got to come up with a budget, okay? So take a look at and tally up all those various expenses that you have. Mortgage, maybe you're still paying on that. You got the car, utilities, but also include that fund, okay? Make sure you're budgeting in fun, because these are your golden years in retirement, right? You want to enjoy them. Okay, so now that you have your expenses all tallied up, what are those guaranteed income sources that you have? Okay, that could be, maybe you have a pension. You're one of the lucky ones that actually has a pension still. Also, Social Security for both you and your wife if you're married. Okay, make sure that you add all of that up and come to your figure. Okay, so you take your income versus your expenses, and what's the gap there? If there is a gap there, that's where you're going to lean on your portfolio, okay, to supplement your income with that. So that gives you that figure. So now you can say, okay, well, I've got this portfolio, I've got this cake here, and I know how much I need to take from the portfolio to meet my needs. But how do I go about doing that, right? How do I cut that cake so that it lasts for the rest of my life? And that's where we come into play, right? That's how we're going to help you plan that out. And there's various tools that we can use to help get you a certain rate of return and so forth. But you want to make sure that you're not biting or taking too much of that cake at one time, right? Because you want it to last. So like various tools that we have out there that get you a guaranteed rate, I mean, we're talking annuity products, okay? So there's multiple different types of annuities that are out there, but there's one that's called an income annuity, okay? So it guarantees you, it cuts that cake perfectly for you for the rest of your life, okay? But obviously it's not for everybody. So that's where you want to sit down with somebody that has access to all these different tools and can show you you how it can help you cut that cake evenly for the rest of your life. So it all starts with a plan. Make sure that you're sitting down with somebody developing that plan to get that icing on the cake. All right, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't forget, follow us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/retiringwell. Like, share, and subscribe to that channel. Thanks so much.